Well, goodness. This is Brother Bob, and I have found this location. I knew about it, so I wanted to come return here and see how it would look on camera. It's interesting. I'm in a gazebo in a park, and it is later on in the evening, and it's a little quieter here. During the day, there's some tours and stuff. There's like a house here that's what do you call it? A famous house, and then there's the famous railroad depot here in the same area. So this park is historical stuff. So this park is kind of a historical park, they call it. The gazebo is donated, and it's a nice little place. It's right off the main road, so there is road traffic noise. But being under here, and I think a step or two back from the road, I believe that my sound will travel. I do worry being this place. 1 minute everything's fine, and next minute there's somebody out walking their dog. Is a possibility. Generally, as I drive by, it's pretty quiet. Things have been kind of noisy lately. Lots of traffic and people. I do realize school started back up, but just in the last few months, everybody's stirring again. I can't. And look out here at the road. COVID and everything else is a whole different subject. The minute you talk about it and mention that, there's all kinds of restrictions saying you can't do that, you can't say this. So I'm not going to discuss COVID. The discussion, reason I brought it up was to mention how traffic has returned. I believe before COVID, traffic was getting pretty heavy in this area. In many areas, I'm sure, many people. We had a moment of peace. It's interesting that just prior to that, even 5 years prior to COVID, early 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, people had said, well, I never get to spend any time at home with my family. And it is true. You start looking at work schedules. Many people, especially here and everywhere else, work restaurants. And they say, why do they don't want to work restaurants anymore? Why are we short-handed? Well, a lot of people find a way to stay home and cook meals or to live far closer to the money they can make. They're putting all these hours in, 8 hours in a restaurant, but they're putting in sporadically. There are 2 this morning for breakfast shifts. There's 2 at lunch. And there's 4 or 5 in the evening, starting around 4 all the way to 9 and 10 o'clock. You never seen a family then. You're just going to and from work. There's commute times, even if it's 5 minutes down the road, which is pretty rare, but it happens. You're going to have travel time. You got to keep that in mind when you're doing these jobs. And I'm not here to speak on jobs here much, but it's just something to touch on in the conversation. When you start adding up the gasoline, the travel time, some jobs easily are not worth the value. Now, you're training situations for the future where you're at a job to learn something. That's great. I mean, but if you've got experience in something, you search the jobs out closer. Or you search a job out where you say, I want to move there, and here it is. This house is close to my job. This apartment is close to my job. I'm gonna. And not just one job. People messed up a few years ago. There was an industry, and they were more of a manufacturing, industrializational place. And 40-something% of the town built up because they were workers in this place. The place went closed. House values being 40% of the people, that pretty much had no jobs. 40% of the people moved. Easily, when you take 40% of the people, that's over half the amount of houses that were people moving. Now, not to say that 40% is not half, but maybe different reasons people are moving, but they certainly weren't coming there. So you've got that problem too. So people moved, houses would sell. Nobody's coming there. Maybe we could say, they said about 40%, but we could say 50% or 40%. Doesn't matter. You've got a big amount of houses that just will not sell and has no ability to sell. You got to be careful when you relocate. What is this place like? What other options are there if this one industry fails? And how will I survive? Is this house? Are there other jobs? Do I have a source of income that's good enough to go out here? How much more gasoline am I spending? How much more time is it? That's important too. I watched a video. This comedian, he would say something of interest many times. And one of the things he said is like, when I was younger, when he spoke, this is when he was younger, he probably minimum wage was a lot lower, but it wasn't really minimum wage, but it was kind of a construction job maybe, or laborious job as he referred to it. He said, I sold myself for $10 an hour. That's an interesting thought. But we had to have $10 an hour. When we started out, we had that money, but we got to consider $10 an hour and how much we sell ourselves, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Just how much we benefit from that. We can't stay doing that. Normal work day is 8 hours. There's no reason why we should be doing more than 8 hours. I know there's certain circumstances, there's overtime and important times. When you're younger, it's your earning years, but if you're going to earn the money, do something with it. Invest it. Be careful of some of these investments. So these good, rich, quick investments, they're always telling you how great they are, but yet they many times are not that great. There's some pretty solid financial advice. There's always going to be this option to fail. There is always a problem being scammed. But your idea of investment is not necessarily investing in things that other people invested in, or just investing in what the newest, greatest thing is. They can take off and do good, but to put all your money into one thing, I can't be honest with you and say that things don't work out, because they do. But I do know that many banks are insured, they have CDs, they have things that have some stability. So you've got to be able to put the money aside and put it into some market account or something that is more secured by a bank. There again, I cannot give you financial advice, and this is just my opinion of what I've seen. I will tell you though, I know we want to get on to the scripture and maybe some Bible stuff. It's interesting enough, Dave Ramsey says some interesting things. We had a class of Dave Ramsey video one time at my church years ago, and they made an interesting point. When you start getting your life under control, your financial life under control, you are able to do the things that give you peace, give you the ability to say, well, I can go to church on Sundays, or give you that peace in your heart that says, I'm not stressed out anymore. Maybe I can feel better about my life, because you're out of control. And then they also say you can donate more for the church, give more for God, give more for other people. When you have the ability to give to the church, or give to the helping of people, God blesses you for that. So the idea of getting your finances under control is very good. So following some of these financial plans is really good. You want to get your money and your life under control in that way. So, but anyway, to get back to what I was going to tell you, we speak of these quick get rich schemes and stuff like that, and so these scams work in all different ways. I remember an interesting video, remember the TV commercial where this man shoes are basically old and falling off and everything, and he's on a bus, city bus. He wants to, this man cashes his check, says, oh, I can't pay taxes on this check, so if you cash it in your bank and you give me so much money, everything, they look at the man and just, he's not a very rich man, he's never probably had any money, it's just a scam, you could just tell. And they said, well, you would not take a check from this man and give him cash, he's a stranger on the bus. give him thousands of dollars. Why would you do somebody like that online? So it's an interesting thought. Now the scam that I think that comes to mind, so we're going to discuss financial things, because if you lose everything, your life is horrible. And I say many times that my brother Bob, a lot of my concept is for you to have a better life, for you to be with me, and for you to hear advice, to hear things, to hear stories, Bible stories, but also some stories that I have knowledge of, things like that. And one of the stories is, this was a little small town. It had enough people in it that it had a gathering. What it was, this man was an investor. Now this is before the internet. This is probably, I know, 50-something years ago, probably easily. But it hasn't changed. It's just, we'll eliminate the internet. And, the internet as we know it today, because the government used the internet probably in the 60s, I think. People would say, no, they come out in X date, X minute, or they know to the exact precise time that the internet come out, based on kind of a different situation. But the general internet, where we were all here doing things, I think started, my familiarity was in the 90s, more things. In 2000, I think I could just about look up anything. Not too long after that, Google's come along, like I use all the time on this tablet. It's come along with Google and everything. So we've had that for many times. With that, of course, comes social media, Facebook, many scams. But nothing new with investment. Everybody wants to invest because you have the idea to get money. Well, this man comes along and he does the investment things that he speaks of to the people of the town. Now, a handful of people had a little extra money saved up. They give it to this man. I don't know what he told them he was investing in. It didn't really matter. Whatever it was something of value at that time. And it's more so in those days. It's not so much this tax deal, but it could have been a tax situation where everybody claims now because of taxes, I can't collect my inheritance and things like that. But this was a little different because this was some kind of marketing deal where he was doing investment. Because what he did was he got money together, very little money. It didn't matter much of anything. It's insignificant. So just, a couple of dollars, it's no big deal. And I'm going to take this money and I'm going to go invest it. So townspeople, some of them had money. No big deal. They took the risk and said, I'll never get anywhere if I don't do anything. Townspeople got together and they took some of their money, gave it to this man, saw him off on a trip. A period of time later, weeks, months, went by, maybe not too long, just enough, and he returns. And he goes to these people, says, I think he, not just a percentage, but I think he doubled the money. And the story goes, he definitely gave the money back and then some. So of course these people say, well, can we invest again? How is it doing? Well, this is some kind of continuing investment thing. He said, well, I can still get you in. We can invest now. We can get in, we can get out. I can bring you some more money when it makes money. That way you don't leave your money in there and lose your money and have to wait a long period of time. I'll come back quickly with the money. That way you don't have to feel like you're out of your money very long. So he does this. Now, of course, everybody's talking about how they made the perfect investment. They made this great investment. And this man is amazing. They tell their relatives, they tell their friends. Friends and relatives already heard about it. Many people probably were skeptical, probably didn't tell their friends and relatives. But when the money comes back and they made money, oh, look at me, I'm smart. I did good in this investment. This man's amazing. I have some money. Like everyone else wants to jump on it. Oh, okay, well, yeah. And so they all jump on this idea and they give this man this money. So he leaves, and this is a short period of time. It doesn't take long. Now, this man has to have a little money for his investment to pay back beyond what the people had given him. Now, first of all, he's not investing the money. So he can easily return the money to the people. Now, of course, to add the additional money is a little difficult, but at the same time, now he's already scammed other people, or he's got started in this business his first time around, but he's got it figured out. He may have had a little trouble in the first round, but it don't take much to take advantage of people. Many scams have been adjusted and worked at. These people are smart. That's what they do. That's the way they make their living. Everyone who makes their living at something, either they're smart at it or they're not going to be at it very long. So this man comes back the second time with the investment, and so it's great. I mean, everybody's paid back. So for every time somebody hears a bad deal, they say that 7 people are told about it. Something goes wrong. Somebody at the store shortchanged you, didn't give you all your change. And everybody in the house is going to hear about it. And everybody's going to hear how some reckless driver, almost ran you off the road this morning. Something bad. They say 7 people are going to hear about it. Well, good people, they say in statistic-wise, more of 3 people will hear about it, maybe 2. So it took time, but in time, every time you go, that one person that made money back would tell another person, you were doubling. So by the time this man reached the 3rd time around, you paid it on the 2nd time, but everybody's going to invest the 3rd time. He says, well, this is the final time, but this time the sales will all be out there, there won't be as many sales, but we still got time to invest in this 3rd time around, and so the people who believed in him gathered more money. And then the new people said, no, I need to get on this also. So they gathered enough money and got in on their first time, believing in the people that were on their 2nd, 3rd time, wanted to be a part of this. And sure enough, the 3rd time around, the man leaves, and that's it. He's gone. He's gone with all the money. Yeah, nowhere to be found. That's it. It's just over, just like that. You gain confidence in people. People who do you wrong. You can't always trust people. You let people get too much trust. There's a difference between trusting people and helping people and letting people scam you. We're all going to get scammed a little bit probably, somewhere, somehow. Just try to be careful with letting people have too much control of anything. Investing in companies, doing other things. I want to help you. Well, let's see, I'm trying to remember how the saying goes. Not everyone that helps you is your friend, so you got to keep that in mind. And of course, you got to be careful of your friends who don't encourage you and applaud you either. Like, well, I don't really care. Well, we need to have the attitude that if our friends aren't supportive of us, well, they're going to hold us back. They're not truly our friends. But I do realize, we have this problem many times because they're like, well, if you're going to quit drinking, I can't support you in that because I no longer see you at the bar down here. A man did say something interesting though one time in church. He says, it's interesting, we go to church, we visit, maybe a few people shake our hands when the calling comes, but we don't even do that near as much now because of COVID. But anytime someone passes, somebody talks to us, somebody shakes our hand, hey, it's good to see you, and we walk out. Next Sunday, we may have the same thing, but we run across people in the street. Some people say, hey, we missed you at church, but you've got other people in society that's constantly saying, hey, where are you at? Let's go do this, let's go do this. When the normal people are encouraging somebody to return to a place or to go out, we as Christians haven't really encouraged people to come back to church. Oh, well, where are you going this Sunday? What are you doing? Well, I made a deal with my friend. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Always have your chance to tell people when you go to leave church, the new people, say hi to them and say, hey, you ought to come back. Make them feel welcome, because other people, even in the church, sometimes have an attitude that many times not make a person feel welcome. So that's something of interest too. We try to build up a church, try to build up people like-minded. And we were having a discussion. It was a preaching telling us about how many people believe in God. Around, I think, 90%. Of course, that's changed over probably statistical time. But these people should be in church. But there again, these jobs and family interfere. But as I said earlier about COVID, COVID did good actually. It messed everything up, and it still seems to seriously affect jobs, affect people and their ability to come and go to work, the inventory and things in stores. But people had the ability to come home. People had the ability to see their family, have dinner with their family, and see their kids. So COVID was a great blessing for a lot of people. It's stuff we needed, things we needed. Labor Day is supposed to be that, and it's not. Labor Day still comes with sales, people working. Christmas used to be that great moment. If anybody could ever get a day off for Christmas, it was everybody. And then all of a sudden, one of these stores said, "I'm going to be open at Christmas," or "Our little restaurant's going to be open at Christmas." It got ridiculous again. COVID was about the only thing that forced people to close or to really say, "Look, I'm going home. I'm not wanting to be part of this COVID, and you can't make me come to work. I can get a salary at home because you can't force me to work because you can't say, well, you got to have a job, otherwise we're going to fire you." And I see that after COVID. I think a lot of people have found ways to survive that say, "I'm not doing this job no more." A lot of people are doing some jobs that were ridiculous. They got to the point with customers, and always right type mentality, but customers were not right in their attitude. People just got to where they were keyboard warriors and they could holler and complain to each other. And those people continued on when their kids become more like that attitude. They're going to grow up and be the same way. Respect is gone. People still want some respect. People start figuring out that, okay, we don't have to work this job. Well, then you put the person who does choose to work that job, or that person who is trying, seems to even get less respect, and they are overworked. I see in some of these short videos sometimes, I say, now repeat after me, I will not kill myself mentally and physically to try to make up for the fact that you do not have a second employee. That's interesting. We have to take care of ourselves. And I've said that many times. But we are asked of a lot of things, so sometimes it's difficult. So times are tough, times are difficult, times are stressful. So that was one of the ideas when I come over here to this place. I wanted to speak of peace. That was my message today. Because here it is, I found this gazebo, and I find this idea, concept of at this moment it's peaceful, although the traffic is out there and it's rough and it's loud. At this exact moment, I found a little bit of peace out here, sitting on this gazebo. We'll see how long this whole concept lasts. Maybe I do another video from here. I went down to the river, and the river's nice. There's people getting ready to put a little kayak boat into the river. And, a couple other people, I guess they're maybe fishing or they're walking around a little bit. So the river was a little busy today. So I decided I would kind of just let that go. Wanted to come out here and try this spot anyway. This is actually nice. It's kind of, both places are kind of off the road, so it's still heavy on traffic. But I listened back to my video, and it really wasn't that bad. Sound-wise, it's got some kind of noise canceling on the camera and stuff also. Maybe in the future I discussed the idea of getting a kind of a regular clip-on mic or a better microphone system, which does seem to make a difference. Even one of the videos I watched had a forward-facing mic that somehow had noise canceling, but it would directionally catch the sound. So one of the folks I saw in a Western I watched, I think it was last Saturday or Sunday, last weekend, this woman had, well, there's always something in the Westerns, vengeance, things of that nature, but this woman had gotten accused, or not accused, but had gotten abused. So she's seeking vengeance against the three men that did that. And she, of course, runs across a man who's a bounty hunter, as in Western has it, I guess. And she asked this man, can you teach me how to shoot? She just really wasn't all that good at shooting. So in the process of all this, he takes her to a gun maker down in Mexico, and gets a gun, and then starts helping her with her training on how to shoot the gun. But he made an interesting statement: win or lose. Now this, of course, is the in a Western, but the statement holds true for life, I believe, just as much as it holds true in a Western. Some things you see in the movies, some things you see on TV, I'll quote, because of the fact that it's so true to life. And the way it's written by a person, it wouldn't be any different if that person said the quote for the movie or the TV show as it would be if that person said the quote to another person, in the attitude of their thoughts. But the quote seems to hold true, and that was the win or lose, you still lose. And that's the idea, concept of you seek vengeance. Sometimes there was a story of this king. He referred to it as a war that ended, but it was a victory for him, but yet it was a futile victory. The victory was futile, maybe the way he worded it, but the victory was, he described it as not a victory. He said it was horrible. He said, things such as the food, the loss of lives, the things that have been disrupted. I'm sure houses have been burned, crops destroyed. War is rough in these kingdom days. Many times I think in those wars they destroyed the crops, they destroyed the wheat. I think there's stories in the Bible destroying the sand, the earth, putting salt there. I know that's been throughout history, even if it's not directly in the Bible. But I think it is somewhat in the Bible. Also, there's similar stories. But you got to look at what do you do when you seek your vengeance, when you seek your revenge. Somebody's done you wrong. Who's that person that you've come after, gone after, that has come into your life, that has been a problem? And just how much is it worth it? I was thinking about this, and it's your friends. They're like, oh, you got to look good for your friends. Hold your pride, hold your head up, have the attitude, well, I'm not going to look bad in front of my friends. But when it comes down to it, no matter what your vengeance is, did you, in this movie, Western, more of a Western, but in these movies they seek vengeance also, but in this situation, did these people truly get what they wanted? Now, in real life, it's a little different. Movies, pretty much, they got vengeance, and ends the movie. Oh, that was a happy ending. They got their vengeance. But in real life, how much vengeance recovery do we get? First, for our friends, when you go kill that person, hurt that person, do something to that person, how much peace is there? Well, I'm sure there's some peace, but what if the other person returns and causes a problem? Let's suppose you lose this fight. Is it worth it? Sometimes you ask yourself, is this person worth it? And to what extent, sometimes you got to defend your life and family. But to be the aggressor, to go and vengeance is mine type situation to somebody that cuts you off on the road, how much is that worth? I mean, did they even know they cut you off?